All right, welcome everybody to a brand new, spanking new review here in the channel. Last
Spanking?
week,
We're
actually in
spanking here.
anticipation, we actually watched the original 1937 Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and
That we
that's a
did.
new trend we're trying to do for these live-action Disney remakes,
Hmm.
where we watched them the week before and then we review this and have a little more context. So, Snow White
Yeah, go
2025.
go check that out if you're interested in our thoughts about that.
Yeah.
Um,
Before
yeah,
we say anything, as always, we start our reviews with the gut check, which is our score coming in. We haven't talked about it at all, so we don't know each other's thoughts. And then after we do the review, we lock in our final scores at the end. All right?
that's right. That's right.
Let's reveal, huh? 3, 2, 1, flip.
Yeah, okay. I knew you were gonna do something like that. Six is still
6.
kind of generous, though.
Yeah,
I think.
it is. It is. I mostly wanted to do that, and it doesn't work with
Okay,
other
that's
numbers.
that's cute. No, it doesn't really. That is cute though. I appreciate that. I knew as soon as as soon as you put that up,
You
I was
didn't
like, hey,
believe
he's
it?
flipping it. No, not even remotely.
All right.
Um, this
So,
movie's slop. It's kind of just slop.
uh,
Um,
I
yeah,
wrote so
man,
many notes on this. I was in the theater by myself. I mean, there was 3 other people down way far away from me, but I was basically by myself.
I had kind of a rowdy crowd with mine when I saw. It. I
Woo!
saw.
Like applause. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, Snow
yes.
White.
Actual, I was actually mad because I was like, you don't applaud. If you're applauding to this movie, what must you be? You must be freaking like jumping in your seats at like Star Wars or something. It's just like this is nothing. There's nothing to this. And I like so the only people in the theater were children who were not rowdy, adults, their parents, and then um adults who and I mean absolutely no disrespect to this, but adults who have the faculties of children, and they were the people that were very excited about it.
Huh.
And there's an element of it that I was like, I'm glad they're enjoying the movie. I don't want to watch this movie with them because I'm not having as much. It was kind of one of those things where it's like I'm not having very much fun watching this movie. I am glad you are, but you are sort of also like kind of making it worse in a lot of ways
Well,
because like yes, I should be cheering. I should be excited about these things that are happening.
I
Like
mean,
in the sense that like that childlike sort of glee,
yeah.
but that's not the joy that I have when I'm watching this movie. I'm sitting
Well,
there and I'm like, wow,
that was like Moana 2,
that's
where
a lot.
it was a pretty packed theater, and
Mm.
it was like a applause at the end of the movie. People were just, yes, all right, loved it.
This is like no.
And I don't want to shit in anyone's cereal or whatever, but if you enjoy it, I want you to enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah.
there's a degree of like, I have a lot of grace for that. Like, they're enjoying the movie. That's fine. But I also, at the same time, I feel like I'm having a completely different
You want everybody
experience
there to be
than
like,
they are.
"Ugh,
No,
huh."
no, I don't. I want.
Oh, fuck off, Disney! Like they're yelling things.
No, it would be funny. It'd be funny if they, if like, just kids just got bored and they just got up and left. I've
No,
had that happen in
never.
a few movies. I've had that
Okay.
happen in a few movies. I'm pretty sure that happened in. I have to go back and watch the review now. I don't remember, but I feel like that happened when I was watching Doolittle. That, or maybe it's just no one laughed. That I had it was a theater with like five other people, and
The
literally
brain
no
rot
one
is
was
too
laughing.
real. Like people, like Moana 2, they were here for it, so it's like you can't really.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like I enjoyed this more than Moana
it's.
2. So, uh, it,
I would say It's in the margins for me. I think I because for what it's worth, I actually kind of liked parts of this movie. I actually kind of liked the beginning. Lore differences and stuff aside, they had to change stuff because of the actress and blah blah blah. I'm sure that's all been beaten to death in certain corners of the internet. I don't really care so much about that. My my thing is that like the not the was it the first song? The first song, the Her Want song, is it's good. It's
Like the
serviceable.
Waiting on a
It's
Wish one.
there.
Waiting on a wish.
Yeah, that's the main. I would say it's the main song of
The ones in the
yeah.
trailer and everything. Yeah,
Yeah, and I'd say that song's pretty good.
that's the best
It's
song
not
to me, I think.
definitely the best song. It feels like simultaneously very derivative. Like I've heard this song like a bunch of times before, especially the echo,
Yeah.
echo. I was like, Taylor.
Yeah.
This sounds like Taylor Swift. It's kind of what it sounds like to me in a lot of ways. But to its credit, that made it an earworm.
Yeah.
I still remember that song. Like I still am kind of think like I can still
Yeah,
hear the
for sure.
melody of it. So that's good. I think in a lot of ways.
And I remember hearing that in the trailer. It was like, ooh, it's kind of epic sounding. Like,
Yeah, all the rest of the
yeah.
songs were horrible. All the rest of the songs were really bad, particularly Gal Gadot's.
Gal Gadot.
Or Gal Gadot. Her song was
Yeah, it was rough.
horrible.
It was rough, but
Hers was bad, and then the other the Princess Problems was also pretty terrible too.
I didn't like Princess Problems.
I actually forgot that song existed until like I was just thinking about like talking about this with the review today, and then I was like, oh my god, there was a whole song I just like blanked out of my mind, and I just remembered it when I've talked about this movie with other people, and I was like, oh yeah, that was really bad. Anyway,
Yeah,
I've
but all that being said, it was like I mentioned in the last review going into this, there weren't like any songs where it's like they need to have this. Like they got parts of things, but it wasn't like I'm gonna be insulted by the soundtrack like in comparison. So it wasn't like a huge fall from grace, but yeah, it's just some of the stuff they tried didn't work for me.
Yeah. I didn't love the alterations of existing songs. It's like, okay, I guess what do you do? Yeah, I didn't like let's give every character a verse.
And
but that's
bashful.
But they had less personality than they did. Isn't that crazy that they had less personality in this than they did in the original?
It's rough. Okay, so
yeah,
I have notes like just on the doors alone. I have a page of notes almost. It feels like
I wanted to kill Doc. That's all I wanted to say. I just wanted this man to die.
Like this is there's so much more rough when you watch the original and then this one.
Yeah,
the dwarves are just scary looking. It's something disturbing going on here. And it's just sad because the originals are so expressive and lovely, and it's like is this where we've gone with animation? Like it's worse. It just looks worse.
Do you want to know what I kept thinking while I was seeing them on screen? They took characters from the Polar Express and put them into this movie. Now, we talked about the Polar Express on the channel, and I sort of defend the kind of horrifying animation at points in that, because I say it's consistent with the world. It is a lot off-putting. There are times where it's like things just don't look right, but at least it's consistent throughout the whole movie. This is not consistent throughout the whole movie. It's just these abominations are next to live people, and it's very, very. It just doesn't look right at all.
I wish I could show you more clearly, but in my notes I put this Dopey and the boy from Polar Express are like kindred spirits.
Yes, yes.
Looking and zooming on Dopey, and it's like, whoa, all right. And Dopey, who was like ultra, like the most expressive in the original,
Yeah, but they made him a sad boy in this.
Dopey, sad boy. He was legitimately bullied by the others.
Yeah,
and then he speaks. Dopey
speaks. Spoiler into the movie, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of the big. He has the character development of the piece. Like of all the characters, he's the one that gets like the character
and
development.
Dwarves are like, well said.
Well said, Dopey. It's like they don't even can't even give two tugs about it. They're just like, oh yeah, okay, I guess sure, well said.
I will say, as much as he was bullied in this movie, they did not beat the fuck out of Dopey.
Yeah, I was a little sad about that.
That would have hit a little different with this tone they were giving us. But I was missing that.
The thing is, I like sad boys. Like in movies, I don't know. I just I love a good sad boy. I like that, like kind of like the dour and sort of depressed, but like still. I mean, why do you think I liked Perks of Being a Wallflower so much? Right? I like my sad boys. I like sad boy times. It's good. It's good to kind of get in your feels like that.
The Tumblr doom scroll.
Yeah, sure, but like I don't like I don't like this. I don't like it in my Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Sorry, Snow White. Disney Snow White. There's no Seven Dwarfs, or maybe it should be Snow White and the Seven Bandits. Which is another thing that they did in this movie, which we'll get into, I'm sure. But yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like. There's weird vibes from Dopey. Weird vibes
from the whole cast.
Yeah,
and they're one thing they made sure to do. They are not simps anymore. We will not have these dwarves being simps. And Bashful had the closest thing that was I forget what I wrote the quote. He said, "Stay with me. I mean us." That was the closest thing to him simping. You know, Bashful was always the biggest simp of the bunch. He had to get something in there, but now they're just like, let's help her out type of thing. And also, look at what they've done to my boy Doc. They massacred my boy.
I know. That's why I said I want to kill it. I don't even recognize this man.
I knew they were going to do that too. I was like, I had a feeling they were going to take out the whole.
Because it's too silly.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a little too much fun.
It's too fun.
Still probably would have hit weird in this movie because like the dwarves aren't as likable. But I mean, we were saying in the original that Doc is our favorite just because he had silly. He would mess up his words and
and he's just kind of like he's a really good like leader, I guess, of the group. You know, he's a good like figurehead of the dwarves. Happy's up there too, but I also really I couldn't stand Grumpy's the vocal performance. I don't know what they did to his voice because they gave him like a Polar Express elves like remember how they're like, but it's Christmas. I'm gonna let you slide. They did that to him, and it just didn't work. I was like, why can't you have somebody do a voice like this for Grumpy? Like, just like you get like an old man to do like a voice for him, and it's just like, no, well, I give him a voice that's kind of like this, and it's just like, ugh, like what are you doing? I didn't like that at all either.
Yeah. So the dwarves not good.
Kind of a mess.
Not a hit. I will say. Shout out to they took out the washing scene. I knew they would, but it's still nice to see. They're not freaks, and they seem to bathe a relative amount in this movie. You know, they're not averse to it. So
yeah, they also we can't have a woman working. That's too much work for our princess. So the dwarves you gotta clean up your own damn mess. That's the that's the message of this scene, I guess.
Well, so they integrated "Whistle While You Work" into. First of all, it's a storyline that Dopey doesn't speak because he's like scared to. I guess now. Before Happy was like, he never even tried.
He never even tried. Yeah,
but
it's like he could have been a deaf mute or something, But
this one he's scared too. So she gets him in there by whistling, and then it leads into "Whistle While You Work." So he's like, "Clean up your mess." Type shit, and then singing "Whistle While You Work." There was like one part that I kind of liked from the dwarves is when she was in the closet getting the cleaning stuff, and one of them said like, "Oh, she's really making herself at home, huh?" And I like that line, but just rummaging through the stuff, getting the broom out. But yeah, that I would say I didn't really care for the integrating the dwarves into the song, but I also. The song was never remarkable to me in the original, and for what it's worth, I think it sounds pretty good here. It's more interesting.
Yeah, I'm kind of neither here nor there on it personally. I just thought it was kind of I don't know. We could have just written a new song at that point. I almost felt that.
Yeah. That's what I thought they were gonna. When they did the whistle, I thought that would just be it for "Whistle While You Work," like because when she taught Dopey to whistle, it was in the tune. Yeah. And I was like, that's just a nod to "Whistle While You Work," and they just took it out probably. But no, it came in.
Yeah. I will say, now we're talking kind of scary looking things. All of the animals in this movie, horrible, horrifying.
Horrifying.
Like when that deer came in, I was like, ugh, that's not what deer look like. I was just like, it's just like. and there were a bunch of people in the theater that were like, "Oh," and I was like, "No, that's not a deer. I don't know what that is, but I would kill it. I don't like it. I don't want it. I don't
This
want
is
to
the
see it
thing I
anymore."
notice in every time they do live action remakes and stuff. Is like the animals always look worse because that's just what happens in the cartoon. They're able to be a lot more expressive and have a lot more personality, and they always just look. I'm just tired of the CGI look of animals
But
in movies in general. I feel like
but that's a thing that like they eschewed with the Jungle Book. I'm telling you, that movie
yeah,
looks great. It
that's
looks
true.
so good,
That's true.
and
That's true.
I don't
Yeah.
and it's like I get making unless because the animals don't feature like super prominently in this. They're there quite a bit, but they're not like as integral as they were in the original animated movie. And and I get why. They're animals.
We
It's
can't
weird to
have a
have them
sequence of
like
them
clean and
doing
everything.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the point.
So
It's
like
like,
them.
what the hell are we doing here? What are we doing here? Because like even as much as we enjoyed the Little Mermaid, that's the most glaring thing in
Yeah,
that movie. It's like it's just a
it is.
fish.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
fish
It's just a.
talking, and
It's
there's
just.
no
Yeah, it's a little horrifying. It's a little horrifying. His dead
there's
eyes.
no
Poor
personality
flounder.
to the visual of it, and
Yeah.
so you lose a lot when you take out animation and then throw in CGI,
Mm,
as we see with the dwarves as well. So all that
yeah.
being said, so let's talk about some of our other people. All right, let's talk about Jonathan.
Or Jarnathan, as I like to call him, which was that's a nod to the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I will say, just explaining this, the opening scene of Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, which is a fantastic movie, and you should probably watch instead of this. Just being honest, there is like the main character is pleading his case to like a council, like he's like, "Oh, don't throw me in prison because of all these things," and they keep mentioning that there's this one guy who's running late, whose name is Jarnathan,
Mm-hmm.
which if you know to me always has come across every time I've seen the movie has always come across as like if you're playing D&D, you just come up with a random character's name like when if like see your players are like, "Oh, well, what's this guy's name?" and the DM's just like, Jarnathan, like his
Yeah.
name is Jarnathan." So that this guy Jarnathan has about the same personality as the Jarnathan in that movie did. He's just he's just sort of there. He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh," it's like
I wasn't a fan
when
of
he
this
was
guy.
when he was first introduced, I was like, "Little Promise." I was like, "A Little Promise," and then they started talking to each other, and I was like, "Oh, him and Rachel Zegler have literally no chemistry at all whatsoever."
Yeah.
It was so. It was one of the positive things I will say about this movie. Her performance is actually really pretty good. I'd say overall, I didn't hate it. She's pretty good singing with the material that she's given. I thought she did a pretty good
It's
job.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, but they had no on-screen chemistry at all, and it was really rough to see every scene that they were
That
together.
guy was boring, and then it became this weird thing
Yeah, he was
where
boring. He was not charming. He was just boring.
he's like with this crew, and they fight on behalf of her father, who the queen had killed previously. Um,
Maybe we didn't know until. I mean, we knew.
it was
It
wild
was
to
like
me that she jumped to the assumption that she must he must be out there still. Because like she's been lying about this stuff. It's like, why would your first assumption not be that she killed that dude? Because
yeah,
she clearly killed that guy.
yeah. It's like, what do you mean? What are you
Is he
talking
out
about? She
there?
just tried. He literally tried to kill you. Like
But-
she get the
Yeah,
huntsman
yeah,
after you.
yeah, exactly. And then Jonathan's like, apparently there are rumors that maybe he's out down south or something. I don't know, but it was weird.
So this, yeah, a lot of this feels like because I know there were reshoots and stuff, and it almost feels like they had to like if there were reshoots, it almost feels like they might have been like retooling the script on the fly
Because of the
because
dwarves, or
yeah, I don't know it, but every aspect of the movie feels like underdeveloped. Like
I
the
thought the
dwarves,
pacing was super weird. Yeah,
yeah, the pacing's weird because like we go to the dwarves and then like we're for 15 minutes or 10-15 minutes in the movie, it's like the dwarves didn't never existed.
yeah,
Super strange. It's like
yeah.
oh
Well,
god.
that's the thing. Because
Very
isn't
weird.
that the thing that the dwarves weren't going to be in it? And
I
then
think that's the rumor. I don't know if
oh,
that's
okay,
been officially confirmed or
that's what I
not,
always heard. I
but
guess I never confirmed it, but
yeah, I don't know if it's like officially confirmed or not. I think that's the prevailing theory. And I mean, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
When you think about it,
and
if
then to
you
reshoot for that,
yeah, because like the
because
seven bandits seem to be taking the place of the seven dwarves, who
right
I don't care about any of those
at
people
all, right?
at all,
Yeah,
even remotely.
not at all.
They gave them nothing. They gave them absolutely nothing to make me like care about their
Also,
plight.
yeah, there was this talk of like, could they not have cast the dwarves as actual little people, and then they
Yeah,
have a little person in this movie.
yeah.
I did not
He's
expect that.
he's like the one with the only personality of
Yeah,
the whole group.
Rebel
Like
the
he's the one
Quick.
that's
Is that his name?
quick the rebel quick
The Rebel Quick, I
Quint.
think might be
Yeah,
it.
I don't.
The Rebel
Yeah, I
Quick.
love
I'm the
that
best with a
they
crossbow or whatever.
they name drop him like 3 times. I'm like, who every time. I'm like,
Mm.
who is
And it
this?
was like
Oh
a
yeah, right, this
weird
guy.
moment of dissociation when he was like yelling at the dwarves. I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? Like these dwarves, why are these dwarves not real people?
Yeah,
And he's
yeah.
a little person
He's a little
talking to them.
person.
It's a weird interaction, but
Yeah, yeah.
it was like
I don't
it's like
know.
they
It's
threw us a
rough.
bone. It's like, let's not
Yeah,
let the people get mad at little people representation here, and just let's
right.
cast one of them and call it a day. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's. Ugh. I always hate this. I always hate to go there, but it's like a lot of this felt like a lot of the casting of this movie just generally felt like ticking boxes in general. Like I don't know, they're just like no one really stood out other than Rachel Zegler. I like she. I mean, she has to by the nature of the movie. She sort of has to carry the movie, and as we discussed it, she does a serviceable job. She's a great singer. We've discussed her in West Side Story. She was a phenomenal Maria in that. Um, but then you have Gal Gadot.
How good do it? Yeah, questionable,
Ooh.
questionable performance.
Questionable.
I don't know.
Half the time it feels like she's in like a '90s video game adaptation, like a Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat,
Hmm.
and then yeah, I don't know what the weird like they give her like a really just I don't really know what to make of her outfit because it was like PG BDSM gear. It was very like skin tight and like very like constricting in a lot of like strange ways. I was like, that doesn't look comfortable. It was very her entire thing in the whole movie was just weird. I don't know. She just her performance is just not good, and
Yeah.
her singing was not much better.
Well, she
So
hit those notes. I don't know. Can Gal Gadot hit notes? I mean, I don't know if it was just edited or what, but
hitting notes is one thing, but hitting notes and singing is a little different.
yeah.
I mean, we all know how well she could sing from her leading the Imagine troupe with everyone, of
Mhm.
course. So, I mean, you got to pick her. Yeah, she's. Did you? Oh, also, did you notice that? I don't know if you wrote this in your notes or not, but did you actually notice this? This is something that I actually realize. Disney misquotes their own movie.
Which
Magic
one?
mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest one of all? Is the line in this movie? She uses one of the misquotes. Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all?
I literally thought that's what the quote was.
No, it's not. Yeah,
I
well,
just watched the
it's
movie, and that's what I thought it was.
it's the no. Well, what I'm trying to think of what misattribution is mirror on the wall
Yeah.
is what some people will say. But is magic mirror on the wall? Who's the fairest one of all?
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting. Mandela
I just think
effect.
yeah, it was kind of weird that they like misquoted their own movie.
Yeah.
It's-
It does
maybe
sound better.
here's
It
the
sounds more right, but yeah.
yeah, but another thing too is that at the end of the movie is the magic mirror judging your the content of your character.
Now it seems to be, yeah. Uh, they didn't want to say that. They didn't want to put a statement down and say Rachel Zegler looks better than Gal Gadot. They weren't going to make a stance.
Yeah, they didn't want to take a
That's
but the thing is, it's
controversial.
like,
But
but the thing
yeah.
is, then the magic mirror literally never should have said Yeah, you are. At any point in the entire movie.
Yeah, no, it's like there's not another nice girl out there who looks
Because
pretty
no,
good.
you would have to kill literally everyone in the kingdom for you to be the fair. Because you're a horrible person. You're wicked. So
Maybe she's just
um,
nice looking enough that it closes
that
that.
offsets it.
Yeah, like it
It's
usually was like an
a,
80-20 on like visual fairness versus person inside fairness, and so there was never quite a woman that rivaled it until this point. Yeah, and then ultimately she breaks the mirror in frustration, and then because she shatters herself.
it's
It
yeah,
was
and becomes like a.
wild.
It was weird. She becomes like a rock monster. She's like, or like a mirror monster. I don't
Yeah, like a
know
mirror.
what that
Like she
was.
was made of a weird form of glass for a moment and then
Yeah.
shattered.
Mm.
So that was freaking metal.
It's metal, bro. Yeah, metal.
um,
How about the coffin, the tomb that the dwarves make for Snow White?
what about her?
What
What
about
about
it?
her? Yeah,
Uh, they just lie her on a rock.
that's true. That's never even
They
thought about it.
just lay her out on a rock for
Yeah.
at least several days because they mentioned in the prison it's like you've tried that every day. The huntsman like says to Jonathan, he says you've tried that every day. So it's
Oh,
like okay, well
see,
it's been
the
a
pacing was so
while. It's
weird
just
though. It
been,
felt like it went to
wasn't it?
Jonathan and the huntsman, and they were out instantly. Is how it felt. It was. It didn't feel the progression of time, but
There was I want to say there was like a weird fade to black where it came back in and then it's back to them and
okay, yeah.
that's when they break out and then the huntsman says something like it's been you've tried that every day and it's like we're not going to specify about I guess about how much time it's been but it's been a decent amount of time. They made a little like arbor over the rock so they had enough time. The dwarves had enough time to do that.
Mhm.
I guess they just didn't have enough time. Okay.
Wait a second.
So the dwarves have magical power that we see in their
Yeah.
song
Yeah.
that they never use.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to come into play during like that's how they get the queen. Remember because the dwarves chase the queen off the cliff
Hmm.
in the end, or she falls of her own accord, but
Yeah.
they're chasing her up to the rocks. And I thought there was going to be something that they do with the magic, their
Yeah.
magic that they use to like
Mm.
trap her. And then I also was thinking like, oh, maybe that's how they build the casket. Like they're able to form it with the magic that they have that they can like do that, find gemstones and rocks, and they can maybe. No, they do nothing with that. It's just a cool little visual they have in the horrifying
No,
I
that's
Ho
true.
song.
Did we get a reasoning for why they didn't bury her ass this time? Because
No,
originally it was because she was too damn pretty or whatever. Like we couldn't
it
bear
was
to bury
well.
her.
It was kind of like we couldn't bear to do it. Like it just is too. It was too horrifying, heartbreaking for them to bury her.
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
So we get Jonathan there. We gets the kiss going. It is not
And
just
then we still have
it's not
another
not happily ever after just yet, folks. Hold on.
no, because then we get like 15 minutes more movie after that, and I was like, ugh.
I mean, you
I
got
was
to.
just
I
like,
mean, if you're gonna do what they did, try to flesh it out more. You can't just end it
yeah.
there. Like it was
Well, I
not.
thought
It was not a satisfying
I
ending last time. But
well, no, I thought what I thought could have happened was that they still have like the epic climax, the climactic battle or
mhm.
whatever, and then that with the people rising up against the queen, and then that's like they do it for Snow White kind of thing. She like her name, they're like Snow White's like dead, but it's like we have to do this for her, like something like that of to that regard. It's like her kindness and her actions to everyone throughout the whole kingdom, throughout the movie, had the lasting repercussions that a few months later when Jonathan and the huntsman get out, they're able to rally everyone up and chase the queen away. And then you could even have the confrontation at like out into the forest. They like chase her out into the woods. And then that's where the dwarves come in and they do their magic, and then you have the kiss at the end. But instead they do, again, this is the kind of weird pacing thing. They instead solve all that stuff and then the dwarves go away basically. I mean, they don't entirely because I think Dopey says something. That's when Dopey says something, right?
Yeah, let her try. We're not afraid anymore.
yeah, and then they all like go back to the kingdom, and then they basically just are like, "Nuh-uh," to the evil queen,
Well,
and then that's
so yeah,
kind of
so the queen apprehends Snow White, and then she
mm.
like appeals to the guards by knowing their names and their backstories, and she gets them all immediately. So they were like, "Yeah, I
like,
remember
oh,
that was actually pretty cool back
I
then."
was like,
All
"Wow,
right,
shit, you're right. I don't
never
know
even
why I've been
thought
doing
about
this whole
it.
time."
They never
It's
thought
just-
about it, and she reminded them, "Oh, there
yeah,
was a time without this queen, and we could just do that."
I see. The movie was also somewhat unclear whether or not some of that was like the queens had enthralled them. They kind of implied that the queen had enthralled them, but it's like, oh, it's that easy to break the enchantment over the spell over them.
Hmm.
You just say like, hey, you're Davis and you rent a farm. I don't know.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah,
oh, damn, you're right. I got a wife over there.
yeah, and they were
I
all
I
over
don't
the
belong to
top.
you, queen. It's like, that's it. That's all it took. How come the wife couldn't do that? She'd be like, Davis, can't you remember? It was I'm making the name of Davis up. Davis, can't you remember? I'm your wife. We used to rent a farm because clearly the queen's enthrallment didn't get everybody. Like it didn't get the downtrodden. It just got the
Yeah,
people that she was had at
yeah,
her close guard.
yeah. So
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
and then we didn't really get a justice or like satisfying justice for the queen,
No.
because even after she attempted to again use the blade, she was like, she just got out of there and went to the mirror, and then that happened. But
Yeah, I mean it is sort of the same that it's her own comeuppance, but I
yeah, I mean, I get that.
it was sort of a it was a dumb way. I don't know. I thought it was kind of dumb. Just like no, get the mirror down. It's like okay,
How dare you?
It's-
You know that the mirror is holy, and if you shatter
yeah,
the mirror, you shatter oneself.
yeah,
You know it.
or something.
Yeah. When the dwarves showed up on the bridge, where they're like standing there, like on business, I was like,
Hmm.
please let them beat the fuck out of the queen. That would be hilarious.
That would be hilarious.
They
That'd be awesome.
didn't beat the fuck out of Dopey, but get one in on the queen. It would be awesome. They just beat the fuck out of her. I mean, that would have been great. I also thought it would have been baller if Snow White just killed her right there when she gave her the opportunity.
Yes, it's just to kill me. I'd be
Okay.
like, I'd be like, in a different movie, a different director, different studio.
That's right.
It would have been pretty hard. It would have been pretty hardcore,
Hardcore. Hardcore.
to
Maybe
see
like
Snow White just like kill
maybe
her right
like
there.
cut her open and all the animals come and feast on her or something gnarly. God.
Then we have like a dark ending where like Snow White becomes a tyrant herself. Like it's like this line of the queen's evil, her magic enthralled Snow White by the blade of the magic.
Yeah.
And then you find out, so it's an eldritch entity that's actually feeding on this kingdom and taking over the citizens. You get really dark with it. But this is a
But
Disney movie,
yeah.
obviously. We're not gonna do
Instead, though, we
that.
got in the original a very not compelling queen, and then they tried
Mhm.
to do something, but it was not compelling here either. Because
No,
ultimately they kept the core of it, which is like it was just that she's the first of them all. Like, let's go kill her for that. And so
no.
based on that, you're not going to really get much compelling out of that character to be like, I really am here for it.
Which is kind of wild because like it almost feels like they were sort of trying to be like they were trying to like have their cake and eat it too. They were trying to like make it so that Snow White was sort of girl boss esque. The whole Want song is about like, well, I lead or be led, and like most of the movie isn't really all that much about that, really. So it's kind of a strange. So when you think about that, it's a very strange Want song, and like to me, they tried to kind of have this like friction between Snow White and the Queen, where it's like Snow White actually knows what's better for the people versus what the Queen wants. The Queen has like her own agenda and her own motives, but there's no like clashing of the minds. And like if you're gonna be having like a squaring off, particularly it's like if Snow White's trying to be like, I have the mind for this, it's, whatever, your fixation doesn't matter about beauty. And the Queen's like, no, beauty and strength, that's what dominates everything. So then you could have like an ideal, like
Yeah.
a clash of ideals. So that would make it, I literally just made this up, by the way. I just thought about this in like 2 seconds. That's already a more interesting dynamic between the two of them than what we get in the movie, which is kind of just nothing. It's just like this queen is jealous of Snow White, and Snow White's like, you're my evil stepmother, and I know better than you, and then they don't really confront each other again until the very end of the movie, which I guess is similar to the original film. But
Well, yeah, they're trying to stretch nothing into something.
yeah,
And it's like in the original, it was just a vague sense that like she's the stepmother, not good, obviously jealous of her, and then she doesn't show up until the end to do what she does with the apple. And in this
right.
one, they try to make some sort of like there's a resistance going on, and people see how corrupt she is, and there's more to it, and then like it just doesn't amount to much. See, the old
Yeah,
lady
it
with the
just
apple is here, of course, but just even more highlighted to me that like Snow White does not like. How could you look at that lady and distrust that apple? There's no way. Like she's so clearly sinister. Just an idiot, but
yeah. I'm almost wondering too if it would have been interesting if they. I almost felt like they were maybe trying to go with like a thing, because instead of a pig's heart, they're like, we can't show that in a kids movie. The huntsman instead puts an apple in the, which is weird because it's like the queen never opened it to check until that moment when she was already told.
mm-hmm.
Which is like in the original movie, she's like, well, then whose heart is this? That's somebody's heart. And then the magic mirror tells her it's the the heart of a pig. So they have an apple instead. And to me, that they could have done. I felt like they almost could have done more like metaphorically with that idea of that apple. Right? Apples in, particularly in like religious settings, we don't know what fruit. Theoretically, the Bible doesn't actually specify the fruit Adam and Eve, were tempted by the serpent to eat, but traditionally it's thought of as an apple. Apples are generally, throughout pretty much all human history, myth, storytelling, apples tend to be a symbol of like desire and temptation. And like almost there could have been like more at play with that they could have gone into, maybe that they didn't really like with the queen could have had more like apple stuff going on. I don't know. I'm just spitballing now. To me, there's a lot of potential to flesh the story out. They just did not do.
I don't know.
Maybe
I
they were
almost
too scared.
disagree.
Maybe they were too. Maybe they were too. You almost disagree.
I almost disagree. There's not much potential with this story.
No, well. So the thing is, it's like if you're,
I wouldn't have touched it. I'm like, if I'm thinking of what do I need to remake, I wouldn't have even looked at Snow White at all.
Yes. So the ultimate problem is remaking this movie for a modern audience.
Yes.
And it's just kind of ass.
There's nothing.
It just doesn't work.
The movie, original movie, is not really about anything. And let's just be completely clear about that. It's about
it's a telling of the Grimm.
It's about dwarves hanging out, and that's what we're here for with that movie.
It's a retelling of the Grimm's fairy tale.
Shit, the true love's kiss shit. No one cares about that. It's in 5 minutes of the movie, and there's no love there. There's no chemistry in the original. It's not there. There's no substance.
What do you mean the love? What do you mean? There's love there.
It's
just
implied.
Listen to his soulful voice.
Yeah.
It's implied. It's implied. There's implications of love there.
By the fact that the kiss did that, it's implied.
Yeah.
Because I guess it's true love then, right? It's in the holy scripture of
Grimm's fairy tales. Yeah. It's a Germanic fairy tales.
So,
but
I'm just saying, there's not much there. They tried to put it into something, and I didn't like it. But I also didn't like the original for the story either. I liked it for the visual feast, which we did not get here because it took away the life of the personality of the visuals. And
well, the movie was also just really ugly. The movie's just really ugly too. Like
not fair.
Visual effects aside, the general like color palette just like ugh. Like the whole movie just kind of looks gross.
I wasn't a fan of the direction either in general. Like there's some shots that I found to be weird.
Yeah.
But
like you take something like this and then you look at like Wicked, it's like it's not even fair. That's honestly not even fair. Wicked is like a piece of art. Like that is a feast.
Who's the fairest
doing all kinds of stuff. that is the fairest of them all when it comes to musicals. Watch if you've learned anything, watch Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves and watch Wicked instead of watching this movie.
You could watch Snow White
Yeah.
and the Seven Dwarfs if you haven't.
Go
Go educate
watch
yourself.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. That's right.
It just looks
Do that
better. It's
too.
kind of wild that like
Yeah.
Disney's completely lost the plot and what good animation looks like. So we're doing a live action remake, which still has to involve animation. It's just animation that doesn't look as good for like a
Yeah.
good majority of it. Like the movies about animals and dwarves are at the front of it, and they didn't want to cast
Mhm.
real little people, so we have CGI dwarves, CGI animals instead of the very fun animals of the original and the dwarves in the original. So it's like,
Yeah.
what are we doing here?
Well, that's. I mean, that's kind of what I mean when I'm saying that like taking more liberties with the story probably would have been to its benefit. Maybe it's hard to say because it's like again as we talked about, there's not much there to begin with, but I think almost too much devotion to the source material actually made it worse. Like it probably still wouldn't have been great if we made it Snow White and the Seven Bandits. If that was like if the dwarves weren't even in
Mm-hmm.
it and it was just that,
Oh yeah,
probably still would have been pretty bad. But I think that you could do more interesting, like any of the ideas that I spitballed. You don't have to use any like all of them, but like even just anything that I just threw out there, just thinking, you could do any one of those things and make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more engaging.
yeah. They made the
Because
movie
it's like,
about the not the dwarves. They managed to make
yeah,
like yeah. I said in the original, the dwarves were the most interesting part. They did accomplish the goal of making the dwarves not the most interesting part. It's just
right,
there's not enough there when you look at the
yeah.
what they're
There's
basing
nothing
on it.
else.
If you got
There's nothing else to
yeah, if
engage
you're
you.
taking that plot thread from the original that the queen just wants to be the first of them all, there's really not much there to be very
Yeah,
interesting, and that's what
no,
it was. And obviously, they're gonna do that because people would also be mad if you took that out because that's literally the whole legacy of the movies, first of them all, and then the apple thing. That's like the two things you remember outside of the
mm,
dwarves.
hmm,
So it's tough. You put yourself in a weird position remaking this movie, which is why it should not have been remade at all.
yeah. They shouldn't have. They really
Bottom
shouldn't have touched
bottom of the
this one.
list in terms of ones
Yeah,
that even have potential for a live action
right.
remake because there's so much revolves around the visuals of the
Yeah,
animation itself. It's like
yeah,
that's the heart of the movie. But I
yeah.
mean,
It does. Well, here's the thing: they had already sort of done this. Not Disney, but other studios had done this, like with Snow White and the Huntsman. Right? If we're talking girl boss, that basically makes turns Snow White into like a warrior
yeah.
princess in that one. And it's like that was doing something completely different with the idea.
F-
Um,
And for
and
what
I
it's
don't know how
worth,
I don't know how good it is. I never
yeah,
saw it, but
I saw it once upon
um,
a time. I don't remember it all at all, but for what it's worth, I
yeah,
liked, after where they would have, we did leave off in the original, just happily ever after. I
hmm,
liked the idea of having a more compelling ending and have Snow White actually do
mm,
something. But
yeah, like
uh,
restoring the kingdom the way her family
yeah,
ran it, kind of thing. Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I like it. Bookended it a lot better. You know, pun I guess completely intended because they open and close a book in this. So, and then we find out Dopey's been the one narrating the whole time. Oh,
whoa, mind blown.
and then people actually freaking clapped at this damn movie in my theater. I was just like, unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, you
I
don't.
tried to stay
Don't.
away from reception. I'm assuming it's not good, but
It's.
yeah.
I think it's like a halfway decent audience. So like Letterbox, it is tanking this movie. Like they don't like it. Um, Rotten Tomatoes has a pretty positive audience score. I think it's in, last I checked, it was in like 60-70 range.
Okay.
Um, critic scores in like the 40s. It's not great. Pretty much, I I'm guessing it's probably going to be pretty similar. Like Rachel Zegler's a highlight. The rest of the movie's bland. Gal Gadot, Gadot. I can never remember how to pronounce her name.
I think it's a good do it.
Uh, Gadot is low light, low light of her career. So
So Letterboxd is 2.3 right now.
yeah,
So, but it
that's
looks like there's a good amount of 3 stars. Like
mm,
that's the most, or 3 stars, and then there's
yeah,
2.52. So some people just they find it decent. I mean,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there was some buzz saying like this is one of the best live action Disney remakes of all time, and I'm like, no,
I remember some
I
like
don't
a
think you.
couple of things from critics coming out of it being like, "Oh, this is like a wonderful whatever." I don't know.
IGN gave it like an 8.5 out of 10 or
Oh,
something.
well,
Good
I don't
old
know. I'm
IGN.
trying
You
to
can
make
always give
sure
them.
that I'm not looking at it in a completely negative light. I'm trying to see, am I
No, I
missing
mean
something
that's.
here?
I mean that's what I said. Like I think the positives are her performance, and some of the songs were. One of the songs was pretty good.
But like, did we
Um,
go into this movie wanting it to be bad in our heads? Did we corrupt
I
ourselves? I
well, here's
I
the thing.
think
Like I
I
said,
wanted it to be
the
good.
beginning
I mean,
the beginning like I was saying I was genuinely pretty much up until we got to the dwarves. I felt the movie was probably about a 6. I was kind of like I'm not like in love with this, but like I'm willing to see where this goes. Like it's pretty good. And then the dwarves show up and then I'm like, "Oh dear." And
yeah,
then the dwarf stuff happens and I'm like, okay, I guess that wasn't like the worst thing. And then we completely go to these bandits and I'm like, what the hell are we doing? And then I completely lost
the
the
bandits.
movie lost me.
Yeah, they're not
The movie
interesting.
completely
But
lost me. I was like,
I
this is
do I
horrible.
do
I
think
don't.
something worth noting is the fact that we watched the original the week before. It's good and bad for us because most people, if they might have never seen the original or they haven't seen it in years and they watch this
Mm.
and being more removed from it, you're not gonna there's not gonna be as glaringly bad because it's not like because
But like I'm not in love.
me not having seen the original though.
Yeah.
I never would have told you like, oh, the dwarves would have been like the best thing. Like, I didn't really know, but the dwarves, having just watched it, was like the dwarves, how expressive they were, the animals, like the animation, and the fun moments with the dwarves. Those were all the highlights for me. And
Yeah.
so now going into this movie where specifically those are not the highlights, that obviously it's not going to feel as good, but maybe people are more
What
removed to it
but
would.
that's what maybe. I mean, that might be part of it. I mean, like I'm already admittedly not overly fond of the original film. I think
Yeah,
it's
and you're wrong for
as a
that.
as a as a piece of animation history, like it's
Hmm.
I'm glad we have it as preserved as it is. It's cuz it um
Yeah.
in terms of the quality of animation, it's timeless. Like it is like a museum piece in terms of like the history of animation. Very important. Um and it was better than I remembered it being. I remembered it being very boring, still pretty boring, but I think overall the anime, just the feast for the eyes, the all the dwarves' antics, and kind of the sort of classical 30s feel of it. Pretty much all the orchestration, the sound, the music, and like all that stuff works for me really well. Um, Whereas here, it's like you can't obviously replicate that, right? They weren't trying to, but the problem is like they were almost they almost felt duty bound to be as adaptive or like make it at least somewhat close to the original story while also but we have to make this for a modern audience so we can't have like these things and we got to change things around here and like it all ends up like kind of just smearing instead of having like a distinct like structure, which is like that was what the bandit stuff was to me. I'm like, why? I don't even know why they're in the movie, like other than that was an earlier version of the film that they then kind of had to like
Mm.
retroactively sort of change around. Um, yeah, I don't know. It was I like I said, I was enjoying the movie basically up until that point, and then I was like, this they just totally lost it. Like enjoying it as much as I suppose I could be, because I will say this movie's obviously not. I'm not the audience for this. I think we can both agree with that. That being said, I've enjoyed plenty of movies that I'm not the audience, the like direct audience for. Um,
Well, that's
I just
Disney
think
in
this
general,
movie.
but
I just
Disney's
think.
the beauty of
I just
Disney is
think this
supposed
movie was
to appeal to all audience.
right. And this did, but this didn't. But the problem with this is that it was just bad.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't know. There's no two ways about it. I don't know.
The
I didn't think it
original,
was very good.
having just watched, I was really impressed with it, and I
Yeah.
literally came into that. I was like, I could justify scoring this up to a 9, and I wouldn't really have a problem with it. But I came into 7.5 because the story's not really
Yeah.
anything, and it
Right.
was just for the visuals and for it being a showcase, and it's so impressive almost a century later. So you take that and you take out all the things that I love from the first movie. There's no animations that are like beautiful to watch. Like they were able to in the original just have a sequence of animals cleaning shit, and you couldn't have that in this one because they're not fun to look at. And then the Queen stuff that I didn't care about, and the Prince stuff that wasn't really there. They tried to put it in this movie, and it still didn't care about it, and it didn't work. So it's like, yeah, it was never gonna be great. It could have been serviceable, and it's not quite serviceable. The music is on par, if not some are a little better, but the music was
Hmm.
never amazing in the original either. So, you know,
Yeah.
that's where I'm at with it. It's tough. I feel like we're not getting anywhere. I'm tired of going to these live action Disney remakes and feeling the same way about them. Like what are we doing? What's the point here? It's just always going to be that way. I feel like, but
Well,
but we
okay,
got
okay.
surprised by the Little Mermaid. That was a
Yeah,
surprise, and
that was
I
legitimately a
was holding
surprise.
out
And
hope. I was like, "There's hope here for this
yeah,
like stuff to exceed the original in terms of
too
substantively."
much, too much upset behind the scenes. I think ultimately just tanked this movie because like it could never be because of all the stuff that they had to like change around about it. It could never be even serviceable. At least that's my opinion. I will say
They
Lilo and
didn't change
Stitch.
around that much. They didn't. It's really a lot of
But
the
they
main.
did. No, they did. They did. They changed around quite a bit. I mean, they gave whole backstories. They made like a whole like. I
Well,
mean, they
yeah,
they
but I
had like
mean,
a
they
whole.
added, they embellished, but they didn't really like all the stuff from the original is pretty much there, except for like the
But that's
dwarves
yeah.
simping.
But then right. Well. I mean, I guess, but like
And
that's
we can
that's
both sit here. We
that's
can
the
both say that we're pro simp and we need more simps, but okay, I don't know.
what.
I don't know.
Just rate your score down.
Hi ho, hi ho.
Yeah, they gave them all their own verses, and it was weird.
You're the little bashful. He's happy. We know. But he's bashful. Yeah.
Lol, so millennial.
Dopey is already a better whistler than I am, though. I'll say that. I'll give him that
Oh,
much.
I'm pretty. I to toot my own horn or to whistle my own whistle. I'm pretty good at whistling, so you can't hear it over Discord though.
It's not good. Yeah, it was not discernible to the human eye. Pretty ass.
Not discernible to the eye. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, flip. 5.
3.5. I came
You
down.
went down. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So that gives us a
Gives us
Tarqaron
problems.
score of 4.25.
Yeah, I guess so.
That might be a unique
Wow.
score.
It might be. It might be
Tarqaron
first.
history. It's possible in retrospect that I'll look back more fondly. It's possible. I'm like, because having just watched the original, I might be more harsh on it. But it does feel like, in every regard, that it didn't succeed for me. And it's like I like Rachel Zegler. She's good. She was really good in West Side Story, but here she was okay. She wasn't even that remarkable to me, and she's working with people that aren't giving her too much. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. No, wait, that's yeah. Because like it wasn't even just the Jonathan and I don't even know that actor's name and the Queen. It was just like it's kind of just like everyone like it wasn't really getting back what she was laying down, at any given point. So yeah,
Alright.
most of the ancillary cast just not very good.
In terms of the live action Disney movies, it's not great. There's not a lot of great ones, but it's definitely
No.
a bottom
Well, we
half.
haven't reviewed any of the good ones. That's the thing. We've only how many of them was like what we started with the Lion King, right? So it's like it's been kind of on a rough streak since then, pretty much.
Little Mermaid was the exception, and
Pretty shining exception, yeah.
and Lady and the Tramp.
I mean, I didn't really
So
like it,
good.
but
I don't know. I have to
no,
rewatch. It's been years. I'm just trusting myself on that.
yeah. Well, here's the thing: Lilo and Stitch. That's coming. I know. I'm very hesitant because I actually didn't. The trailer reception to that was very positive overall, and I didn't really get it. I thought it looked pretty bad, pretty not bad, but I just didn't. I didn't love it. I thought it was visually very uninteresting, but
Yeah.
I'm willing to give that a chance. That's one that in terms of that's one that I have at least a decent amount of hope for. I think they could make that one good. It still begs the question as to why, and the answer is always money. But I think they could potentially still make that a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I don't have high hopes for that one either. I
feel
really
like I
the
have more.
trailer.
I have more hopes for. I have more hopes than I ever had for this movie, and this movie. When I heard the song, when I heard that song and I didn't really care about the visuals of the trailer. When I heard the song, I was like, okay, we get an opportunity for the music to be really good, and then the music wasn't very good, and then the movie was,
Yeah.
But with Lilo and Stitch, at the very least, it's not a musical. You don't have that side of it sort of, I don't know, bogging you down, I guess is kind of a harsh way to do it, but a harsh way to put it. But you don't have like that side of things that could go horribly wrong. It's like it's not a musical. You just have to license Elvis music, I guess, to make that part of the plot work. But it might be okay.
But Stitch is the same thing to me. Stitch he needs to be a cartoon,
Yeah.
Why again? Immediately when I first saw Stitch, the CGI just looks worse on him.
It does. Yeah, it was just an immediate disconnect. That's the problem with these. It's I just.
And then we're gonna.
I don't know. Why don't you do one I don't know. Oh, I was gonna be like, why don't you do the Emperor's New Groove? And then I was like, wait a minute. Then you have to do a CGI llama.
No. Yeah.
You could do you could do something really funny there. You could have David Spade just in dressed up as a llama, and then everyone just saying, "Yeah, he's a llama,"
No, there's no Disney movie I can think of that would be good as a live action.
Yeah, because too many of them have too many fantastical elements.
It's just constant pain we're going through here.
Hercules, or
Yeah, we have Danny DeVito in there somehow.
Yeah.
But
Mulan, they took out fantastical elements of that,
That's right.
and that made it boring.
Well, you liked it. You liked it. You trying to rewrite?
I did on the on the channel. I did like it. In retrospect, I don't.
It's boring. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better than what this movie was doing, but still not good to me.
Yeah. But.
All right. Tarqaron score 4.25.
There it is.
All right, let's see a random random video from our channel to recommend. Random rules. Episode 13 of Survivor Pearl Islands.
All right, there it is.
Intellectual advantage. That's where the women
Check it out.
Or the men have the intellectual advantage over the women in
that's right.
Final, the end game of that.
That's right.
As always, subscribe to the channel for more. Like the video, leave a comment letting us know your thoughts on the movie. Do you agree or disagree? And we got more movie reviews, TV reviews, game reviews, discussions, Survivor every week. And a variety of stuff on the channel. Stay tuned. And until next time.